Hey everybody, Gary Fong here, and I am doing this video because as many of us know, my dear friend Jill Sobule passed recently in a house fire, and she was just honestly one of the best people I've ever had in my life. And I'm going to bring you a recording that's never been heard before because it was done at a house concert at my house. This is around 1991, and she came to my house to play a house party, one of her first ones ever, and she brought with her Susie Davis, who was the keyboardist for Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones on tour. And I'll tell the story maybe after the song. The reason why I want to do this song is, well, number one, I wanted to show the cool Jill guitar that I just got, and number two, I try to find like the chords for some of my favorite songs of hers, like Too Cool and like Smoke Dreams, which I'll probably also do. One thing that really I find that helps me really appreciate Jill's music is by playing the songs that she did on the guitar. Now, watching her, she had all these like really weird fingering positions that they looked weird. I remember one time I asked her, hey, can you show me how to do Girl in the Affair? Because I thought that was just an amazing chord progression, the intro. And she said sure. So she brought out her travel guitar, and I brought out my Ovation, and she's like, yeah, it's a B something, and it's a something, and it's a something. And I thought, man, that is really true talent to get such amazing sounds out of this little guitar. I mean, when I first saw her, she had 3 standing ovations at the Universal Amphitheater, and she did that on this little travel guitar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play for you the first time ever heard a digital recording made in 1991 on a Sony MD. Those two played 5 songs that were absolutely amazing, and I played bass with her. It's really funny because I wasn't, her bass player. I was kind of like her guest bass player since it was a party I was hosting, and she did what she could to throw me off. It's really absolutely a very hilarious song, but I'll play that. But one thing I wanted to do is I'm going to show you the chords because I couldn't find them anywhere on the internet. And there's so many of you guitarists out there, and I really want you to enjoy this. And if you're a beginning guitarist, that's a real fun part too, because these fingerings that I do are not really hard. You can, if you're a guitarist, you can, kind of see what I'm doing. And then I think what I'll do in the comments is I'll just go ahead and put the chords. They're quite easy. So let me find this recording real quick, and let's see if this is it. Where is it? Oh, there you are. Okay. So here we go.
Let's hear it for Gary. On bass. Okay, this was a hit in Sweden. Watching me, you thought I didn't see. By the way that you stare, I know there's something there. Smile sometimes shows what you don't want me to know. There's a warmth inside you hide. I can feel that we start a flame. Your little secret stays with me. distant, so free, pretending mystery, calculating every move. Tell me what you got to prove. It doesn't matter what we do, no one cares, so I still play safe. And don't you know I would give my heart and soul, I'm not the one who's afraid. Oh, you're too cool to fall in love, you're too cool to fall in love. Only fools have open hearts and you're too cool. You don't have to act this way.
Sorry.
What you got to prove? I would love to hear you say I do love you, but you're so cool. Bass solo. You're too cool to actually really try to do a bass solo. So you have to screw it up.
I thought it was pretty good.
You're too
Because
cool to fall in love. You're too cool to fall in love. Only fools have open hearts. You're too cool. Thank you very much. Gary Fong on bass, Susie Davis on keyboard.
Okay. Oh man, that was so much fun. I played my Hofner bass that night, and I had one of the first mini disc recorders, and we plugged it straight into the board. And she's so hilarious because this is the first time I really kind of knew her, and she's just a goofball, right? Because she knows I'm kind of the guest bassist, and she's trying to throw me off, right? So I'm going to kind of go over the chords just a little bit because I really feel this is important. I want people to enjoy the mastery of her guitar. It's very interesting because she does this. It's kind of like an A7, but you raise the D to a B. And she does this in Smoke Dreams, which is a song then. So she likes to play around this A7 kind of and move the. So that's Smoke Dreams, but. So it's really simple. If you're kind of a newer guitarist, you'll really enjoy this. Don't watch her videos of the crazy stuff she does. Jane Wiedlin, I think, wrote a tune talking about how Jill has a million chords and they're all just really weird. Like I've known her for decades and to watch the stuff she does. And those of you who were her friend, do you remember her, the nubs of her fingertips on her right hand? Well, the thing is that she was extremely nervous, so she would always bite her nails. And her girlfriend, Jill Young, who was also a really good friend of mine, always said, "Don't bite your nails, you're making astronauts," because when you looked at her nails, they looked like astronaut helmets. But they were completely blistered, which mine is kind of now because I'm normally... maybe more of a strummer, not a PIMA kind of a picker. So I don't really have the calluses that maybe one would have if you were Jill. But I'm going to spend a moment here to show you the brilliance of her chord structures and how simple they are. She, but in first position. Okay, so you because I couldn't even tell you. I mean, when I was like, teach me Smoke Dreams, and she said, okay, it does this, and it's a B. What is that? What chord is that? She goes, it's a B something, right? So so that was kind of the thing, And I picked up her little traveler guitar many times. Yeah, I still can't figure out how she gets the sound out of it. I mean, it's quite the little banjo sounding kind of a thing, but the way, I mean, you know, she would pick that thing up and just absolutely, you've heard her, like, right? And when she could pick up any guitar. I had this one Ovation shallow body that I absolutely hated, and we were somewhere, and I said, "Ooh, do you want to play something?" And she said, "Well, I don't have a guitar." And I go, "This is Ovation," and she played it, and I was like, going, "I can't make a sound out of that." It's like, you know, I mean, I try to play the violin, but you get one of my instructors on it, and you just go, "Wow, that instrument is capable of making sounds that I don't understand." So I bought this. Actually, my wife bought it for me as a gift as soon as we heard that we lost Jill. My wife was sweet enough to go on the store and buy the Jill Sobule signature traveler guitar. So let me go through these chords really quick with you. I went through this with my daughter, who's a budding guitarist, and quite easy to learn. Just a couple bar chords. So it goes around this A7 a lot. Caught you watching me, right? No, I didn't. Then it goes to D, which is a weird D because it's open on the E. C. So it's by the way that you stare, I know there's something there. Then the middle eight goes, beautiful change here. It's E minor, then G, then D. And one thing about Jill is, because she always played by herself so much, she's really like a bass player with that thumb. It's you know, I played bass with her, and we were just like right on, except when she tried to throw me off. But she plays just like a bass player because she has to. She has to have that beat for her, right? So when she goes to it doesn't matter. So what it is it's E minor, then G, D, A. And again, this is my own fingering. She's like doing weird stuff. Then it's B minor, E minor, G, D, E minor, then B major, because you're two. So it's the same kind of A, I want to say A7, but she... So A7, too cool, ooh, cracky voice. Then it goes to that weird D. Then, yeah, there's a little really beautiful bridge here. You know so it goes F major. This way. What you got to do? C. Then B major, A minor, then D. Love you, but you're too cool. Bass solo. Okay, I want to talk about that concert because it was so freaking cool. They did Every Time I Feel. I don't know if there's a recording of it, but her and Susie were just killing it. Then they did Smoke Dreams, which I'll dedicate a completely different video to that one because I have so much to say about that song. And then they did, of course, Too Cool and The Girl in the Affair, and then Karen by Night. And when they were doing Karen by Night, I mean, her and Susie were just killing it. Susie brought over a chord or something like that. It was so cute because it was kind of a party. And so I had a buffet, you know, I think we had a tent. And before Jill didn't even say hi. We had a number of, it was a crowd, right? And Jill didn't even say hi. As a musician, she went, straight for the buffet. And you'd hear people start screaming because it's Jill Sobule, and she's just at my house, and she's, eating tortilla chips. And then, so she came in with this traveler guitar on her back, and Susie came in with, it was either in sonic or a chord, but man, Susie could play that thing. Susie was partnered with a guitarist that absolutely blows my mind. His name is Jimmy Rip, and I'd seen him a couple times at Largo, and just an amazing guitarist. So Susie, that's when I first met her, and she's carrying, her keyboard on her back. We had a full band there, so we had a PA, and they could just like plug in and do some cool stuff. But what was really neat is there was no such thing as digital recorders. Sony had just come out with this thing called a mini disc. This is like, I think, 1991. And I asked Doug Waitman, the guy who had the band. We had like a 9-piece band there, and Jill was, they were kind of, not the opening act, but the full party. I thought Jill was just going to play 3 songs, but she wound up playing 5. And I said, hey, can I plug this right into the board? And we did, and I've got the coolest recordings. I mean, that is one of them. And I'm so lucky to have those. And the way that she wound up at my house playing, so this is a really interesting story. I was a huge, still am, a Joe Jackson fan, and went to see him at the Universal Amphitheater. I'd probably seen him like at least 5 times, because he'd keep coming out with these amazing albums, right? Big World and just fantastic albums. So he'd tour with those albums. He never had an opening act. So I'm sitting there in the amphitheater, and they go, we have an opening act tonight. And I'm like going, Joe never has an opening act. I wasn't upset, but I was just like going, why are we wasting our time? I'm here to see the virtuoso. Out comes this little pixie girl, just with this. Like, it's like, are we going to, somewhere over the rainbow, are we going to hear some Hawaiian ukulele songs? And she starts to do this thing and makes the most amazing sound out of it. Now, you listen to her recordings, she uses this a lot. I think she had a Gretsch also, and I think she had a Gretsch in this one. But if you I mean, it's not a guitar that I can make sound good, and I certainly wouldn't open for, Kenny Loggins or Don Henley with something like this, but she can make magic out of it. So that night I saw her, and she played a little set as an opening act, and she brought the freaking house down. I mean, it was like, I don't know what the capacity is, the Universal Amphitheater, maybe 8 or 10,000, not as big as the Forum, but huge, completely packed because it was Joe. And she walks off the stage, and I'm like going, God, who is that amazing person? And she said 2 things. She goes, I've got an album out, and then I'll be playing at the Palomino Club on Thursday night in the Valley in Los Angeles. And she goes, and I'll be doing my full set there. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going. So I bought the album, absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, those of you who have that album, I've got the vinyl here, heard beautiful, beautiful songs, like, of course, Too Cool, but was it Things Here Are Different? Haunting songs. So I can't wait to go see her play at this club gig. I'm lost. It's on Lancashire or something like that, completely lost on the freeway. So I called the Palomino to ask for directions, and this guy's kind of struggling. He doesn't really know how to tell me how to get off the freeway. So he goes, hey, there's this young lady here. She wants to tell you how to get here. So this girl comes on, she goes, hi, you're coming to see Jill? I said, yeah. And she goes, isn't she great? Did you see her at the amphitheater? I said, that's why I'm coming. And she goes, okay, well, I'll tell you how to get here. You turn off Lancashire, you turn right on Ventura, whatever it was. And she said, when you get here, in line, look for me. I'll be in a floral dress. So we're standing in this big line with a lot of people, and Julie Cherto comes out. I was like, God, I really recognize that girl, but I don't know why. This is weird. And she comes out, and I said, Julie? And she said, Gary. And so she goes, I want to introduce you to someone. She takes my hand, and she takes me backstage to the green room where she's giving Jill a massage. Now, Julie was a big, well-known massage therapist. She was on Madonna's tour, which is how I recognized her, because she was actually all over the, Madonna's tour movie called Truth or Dare. Was it Truth or Dare? So she takes me back, and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. I'm like literally in the back room. And I said, Jill, I bought your album. I listened to it about 40 times in one day. And I actually like picked out, the guitar because it's just so brilliant the way that you play it. And so she said, oh, you're such a dear. And she gave me an autograph, and I was so excited. So the show starts, and me and Julie and my friend were all sitting together. And it was just an amazing show. So afterwards, Julie gives me her card and says, I'm a massage therapist. Let's stay in touch, because we were both such huge Jill fans. And I said, yeah, absolutely, let's do that. So I started going over to Julie's Brentwood rental home, and we became friends. And, so I was a wedding photographer for a long time, 20 years actually. And so my studio manager was leaving on a Mormon mission, and so we were having a going away party. And I mentioned this to Julie. I said, yeah, my manager's leaving. I don't know how I'm going to find an employee. It's going to suck, but we're having a really cool party. I'm having a band. I mean, back in those days, I'd have any occasion to have this band. It was a 9-piece band. It was called Rembrandt. And being a wedding photographer and a musician, I referred that band so much because I wanted to hear them play. I mean, brass section, amazing vocalists and everything. So Julie said, well, I can't go. I said, oh. And she goes, what would be cool? Why don't you hire Jill to play at your party? And I'm like, hire Jill? She just opened for Joe Jackson. I can't afford her. And she goes, well, she's actually kind of had a turn of fortune, because she got a little creative differences with Joe Jackson, and they parted ways, and he got mad, and MCA, which was her label at the time, found out about it. And so MCA took her off the label and canceled her album. And then she was represented by William Morris Agency, and they dropped her too. So, and this was all literally right after I met her, within weeks. So I'm like, yeah, I don't have a lot of money. I mean, would she take $500? She goes, I'm sure she would. I'm like, $500 to have Jill Sobule play at my home? And so she gave me Jill's number, and I called Jill, and she goes, I would love to play for your friends and your party. So next thing I know, she's playing at this party. So after her gig, Jill and I sat down, and we talked so much shop. I mean, we were just like instantly buds, because I'm quite the musician fan and musician, but just an admirer of amazing songwriters. Like, I love, people who are cinematic, like Carly Simon. I walk through the house with no lights on, and Jill in Houdini's box. The box lies on the bridge. The crowd is waiting. I've seen this show I've done this trick 1,000 times. This trick's so easy. Really love cinematic storytellers they're also kind of folk singers. So I was just absolutely a huge fan. So we were just talking, and for me this is absolutely amazing, because I'm talking to this pop star. I mean, Too Cool was out on the charts. So, and it was charting. So I was like going, wow, I cannot believe that I have the fortune of this. And she said, so tell me about what's happening. I said, well, my manager's leaving and I have no idea what I'm going to do with my wedding photography studio because I have no idea where to start, what to do. And she goes, do you think I could help out? And I went, what? And she said, yeah, I mean, if you need someone to help, I'll be glad to come over and like work for you. I said, well, it's kind of a full-time job. She goes, I can do that if you don't mind me writing while I'm, working or whatever. Because I'll bring my guitar, and if I have some ideas, I like to jot them down right away. But it'd be cool. We can hang out and whatnot. So I was like, sure. Do you want to start Monday? And she said, yeah, give me the address. And next thing I know, Monday. And I said, hate to kind of like bring this up, but in Karen by Night, you say, I'm late as usual. And are you? And she goes, oh no, I'm really, really punctual. That was just a line for a song. So I was like, okay. So she comes to work. Jill Sobule, right? Like 2.5 weeks earlier, she's like playing at the Universal Amphitheater, and then now she's literally answering my phones and she's numbering negatives because we used film at the time. And what the absolute heck. So my friend calls, because if you knew me, you had to know Jill, because I'm saying everybody buy this record. So probably like 15 to 20 of my friends had to buy the record, and they all freaking loved it. My friend Ken, he was my drummer. He absolutely loved the album. So he calls me. I didn't have time to tell him that Jill was working at my office. He calls me and he says, so she goes, Storybook, this is Jill. And I think it was Storybook Weddings. Storybook Weddings, this is Jill. And he goes, is Gary around? She goes, yeah, please hold. And then I pick up the phone. He goes, you have a new employee? I said, yeah. And he goes, who? And I said, you're not going to believe this. Jill Sobule. She's literally working here. And he goes, you've got to be kidding. And I said, no, I'm still really in shock. And he said, God, what's next for you? Is George Harrison going to be like, carrying bags for you at weddings? Like that? That's how stunned we all were. But Jill and I had so much fun at the studio. And then she went to weddings with me. I think this video is going kind of long, and I want to break it up because I've got so many cool Jill stories that are absolutely hilarious. If you knew her, there's one story I want to tell, was when she was, so what happened was, MCA dropped her. She really had nowhere to go, and wasn't getting signed by anybody. Finally, I think she got signed by either Virgin or Atlantic. And but during that time, she was, pretty kind of like, what the hell happened to my life? But she wasn't bummed about it. Those of you who know, she doesn't, she'll break out in a laugh in 10 seconds. We had so much fun. And during that time, she was writing all these songs that, and any of her friends, do you remember how she would just do the craziest, like LSD drawings that were just, the craziest things? I can't wait to tell you the story about Fabio and how she introduced, and she was nervous about doing Too Cool to Fall in Love. But that was the start of our friendship. And so Jill was my photo assistant, and in return, I became her roadie. We did a couple of gigs with Susie. I know we did one live radio concert in San Diego, and we loaded all the stuff in a van and drove down. And I know how to work wire up a PA, and I don't think she didn't have pedal boxes at the time, so it was a pretty easy job. But the three of us stayed in this really seedy motel, Jill, Susie, and I, in San Diego, and I've just got so many amazing memories. I know that a lot of people heard about this, about how we lost her. When I got the news, I absolutely couldn't even talk. I couldn't write. if you're a friend of hers, she was your best friend. You could just, if you knew her for like lunch, you would just say, oh my God, she's just amazing. But for me, I just want to like remember all the great times. And to me, she really is still alive. When she did Fuck Seventh Grade, what really hit me was she's doing It Was a Good Life. And then she changed it to It Is a Good Life. And I thought that was beautiful because that was the cue to me to say, hey man, she's just very much alive. Very much alive. I mean, I can't pick up the phone and call her, but I can certainly plug into her music, or maybe I can, help other people kind of be aware of her music. You know the song Lucy in the Gym? This is hilarious. So when, Jill was a couch surfer, right? Like in Minnesota, she was staying with friends. And whenever we saw her, she's staying with other friends. And, oh, I'm in New York now, or I'm in Silver Lake, or, and the thing is she told me that the reason that she likes to kind of be a vagabond, like this guitar, and travel and go and stay with friends is because she didn't like the loneliness of an empty apartment. And so for those of you wondering, like, was she broke? Was she like whatever? We don't know, but we do know that she didn't have a car, she didn't have any bills, and but when she's playing gigs, she's making a couple thousand a night or whatever. That's not important. What's important is to know that she just did not like being by herself. And when, this is a really funny story, I talked about, God, what was that like being on stage and then in front of all of those people and having that ovation and, your album's doing so well. She goes, oh God, that night was so fun. But afterwards, I took a bus home to my apartment. And she goes, and that was fucking weird. So that's why she didn't like to, she didn't have an apartment. And so she didn't have a place when she was working for me. She had moved out. So she had this brass headboard bed. If you ever watched the show Love American Style, that was the bed she had. So at my office, my wedding photography studio office, we had this back kind of warehouse. And she said, hey, would it be okay if I moved my bed there? And I said, yeah, absolutely you can. And she said, would it be okay if I stayed over there on some nights? And I was like, well, it is an office building. And so she did. But she was so miserable. And she had nowhere to shower. So what I did was I got both of us a gym membership at Family Fitness at the LAX Hilton right next door. So we made a habit of meeting at the gym. We'd meet at the gym before work, like around 9 o'clock, and we'd open at 10. And we would just, go on the treadmills and whatnot, and then get all sweaty, and then, she could shower. She was so funny about that, because she goes, I've never really had a gym membership before. You know what I'm going to do? What I want to do is I just want to work out my neck. I just want to have the biggest fucking neck, like the most muscular neck ever. And then I'm going to let like my arms and legs kind of wither away and through non-use atrophy. And, she's like picturing pterodactyl arms. Like that's how silly she was. She's like, and there literally was this neck kind of, thing. But there was a girl who was there and just so skinny, and our hearts broke for her. And she was anorexic, obviously. And whenever we would go, that girl was always there. And after we would shower, that girl was still there. I mean, she's putting miles on this thing, because we would go on the treadmill, and then afterwards we would shower and come out and everything like that. And that became Lucy at the gym. And if you listen to Lucy at the gym, it's so funny, beautiful, and heartbreaking. I mean, there's like a recorder that sounds like the intro to Kung Fu, right? So it sounds kind of cheerful and kind of light, but, you know, I don't want to do a spoiler about it, but it's about this girl who's always at the gym, and Jill says, you know, and I don't go in that often, and she's always there, so she must be there all the time. And then she goes, one day I come in, this is her imagination, of course, one day I come in, and Lucy's not there, and I imagine the worst. And so she turns it into, I imagine that she climbed the stairs to heaven, and when she got there, God was there, Jesus was there to kind of show her around. You know, that was so fun. But she wrote I Kissed a Girl while she was at my studio. I'm going to tell you that story later about how that kind of unfolded, because I kind of have to go dog, kids. But, you know, there is a tribute concert at Largo, and this is a place that she used to play all the time, and I'd always go with her because it was typically after work. And I'm coming with my wife and daughter, and I got to tell you, you know, it's not going to be easy. But whenever I get sad, I think about one of our crazy stories together. So anyway, thank you for letting me share. And I'm going to record more and do more guitar lessons, because I want people to really understand, like, how did this girl do that, and this and that, and because that's quite something, right? If you look at a chef, you see how they handle the whisk and things like that. If you're really into that kind of a thing, I'll never be able to do these crazy bar chords like she does. Like Jane Wheatland said, you know, she knows a million chords. And Jane, if you're watching this, I remember she would always say, God, I just need one song, and then I'll be completely set. Like my friend Jane, she wrote We Got the Beat. Jane was in the Go-Go's. And she goes, and now she's got a fucking house in Bel Air. And I said, God, you've got so many songs, and this is just the beginning for you. And, you know, and then when, you know, can I say her career ended abruptly, I thought she didn't get the widespread kind of a thing that I thought she always deserved. But on the day of her passing, I mean, she was world press, CNN, I mean, it was a Variety, Hollywood Reporter, London Daily Times. Everyone had articles about the girl who sang I Kissed a Girl. And, you know, it's been a tough year for Katy Perry. It'll, you know, pop up on my feed about Katy Perry, and Jill certainly had a lot of words to say about that. The other thing that you may not know is that Jill's ex-manager became Katy Perry's manager, which that was just like, I'm sure she got the idea from that, because the guy's such a worm. She really didn't like record execs. And, you know, and good for her, because she was the first one who ever crowdsourced, period. And she got crowdsource funding to fund her album, and that was quite amazing. I mean, talk about, she was the LGBTQ icon, and she was the first one who started, you know, crowdfunding. But the most important thing was this music. It touched so many hearts, And I can't wait to do more videos and kind of express my feelings on those. Thanks for listening.